Should we test? We're good? Oh, that's good. All right. Do you need some room? Because there's space up here if you need room. Okay, so we're recording? Oh. All right, good morning everyone and welcome to Wednesday Yoga. As you know, the focus today is going to be on posture. The good news is, to be honest, yoga is probably the greatest physical activity that supports good posture. Awareness and mindfulness is key, and our habits. So, of course, on the mat, we're going to talk today about, I'm going to just remind you of issues around alignment and strengthening, but it's when we're hanging out in front of a TV or looking at our handheld devices and, in front of our computers, these are the things that we probably aren't always as mindful about. But the moment that you remember, give yourself a little pat on the back. I do the same. I'm not different than anybody else. I'll spend a little bit of time doing this, and then all of a sudden I'm like, no, and it feels better. So I think that, and the other thing too is that it's really easy to notice poor posture on other people. We see it all the time. The head is pitched forward. The shoulders are rounded. I mean, it almost makes me crazy because I did yesterday go up to somebody who was just so collapsed, you don't breathe well. One of the vendors at the One of a Kind show. She's got 5 days ahead of her. If she starts out like this, by the end, she'll be like, ugh. So, and I did it lovingly, and she said, oh yeah. And I said, now you're 4 inches taller. So, for the people that we love, if we do it in a really nice way, and then, when we're not sitting upright, they might come up to us and say, hey, your head's been forward now for the last, 15 minutes. So it's, we're all here to help one another wherever and whenever we can. That's the bottom line. We just have to do it with an open heart and kindness. And the thing too is that by not keeping ourselves strong, gravity will have its way with us. And I think this is what's happened to perhaps a lot of elderly people. Over time, the muscles become weak, and gravity is this thing that, wants us to come down onto the ground, which we're going to do now, but we're going to do it with our yoga. So come on down onto your backs. So lying down on your backs, now, if we had the wall space, then I would ask you to do this up against the wall. But what I want you to do is slide, doesn't matter, either of your hands, one of them, underneath your lower back. So if you were up against a wall, you would want that space. That's your lumbar spine. So just slide your little hand under there and notice that you are maintaining that space. The other thing, take the other hand and slide it under the back of your neck, under your cervical vertebra. Now you'll notice there's more space. There'll be a couple of inches. That's what you want. So throughout the day or maybe once a week, if you stand up against a wall and you do what we just did in the lying down position by placing your bum up against the wall, your shoulders in the back of your skull, this is what you have right now in the lying down position, and you check with one hand under your lower back and the other hand behind your neck, you are now in perfect posture, or what we call alignment. And if any of you have ever driven a car that's out of alignment, you know that obviously as the driver, you're working on that steering wheel, it's cockeyed, but it creates wear and tear on the tires. So when we're not in proper alignment, the rest of the body has to do something to compensate. So think about, the importance of having our bodies as much as possible for as much of the day as you can in good alignment, whether you're standing or whether you're sitting. These all require core muscles, but first we're going to stretch. So raise your arms over behind your head, straight behind your head. Now in this case, your shoulders are going to come up around your ears. That's just natural. So inhale, extend, point through your toes. On an exhale, you're going to draw your knees towards your chest, and you're going to bring your hands and just wrap them around your shins and pull in. Inhale, extend your legs straight out in front onto your mats. Reach your arms overhead. Exhale, draw the knees to the chest and bring your hands to wrap around or just to grab your shins, just below your knees. Inhale, stretch and lengthen, and I want your heels to touch the floor. Exhale, bring the knees back into the chest, and the slower you do this, the more you gently start to work your core. Or maybe it's a lot of work, just depends on the strength of your core. Once again, inhale, stretch it out. Exhale, draw the knees into the chest with your hands. And last time, reach and stretch your arms over behind your head. Your heels are on the floor. Notice that your lower back is not touching the floor. It shouldn't be, nor the back of your neck. Exhale, draw the knees up into the chest. And now keeping your knees bent, take your arms out to the side, shoulder height. Palms can be facing up or down, whichever you find more comfortable. Now in this case, I do want you to press your lower back into the floor, okay? So we have the lower back off the floor. Now I want you to press your lower back into the floor. Notice how this activates the muscles in your core, particularly your lower abs. So inhaling in place, your feet are glued together, your knees, your inner thighs. Now with control, exhale and lower both knees over to the left and turn your head to the right. And please keep your right shoulder and arm on the floor. So we're activating, warming up the core. Inhale, bring the knees back to the center. Press the small of your back into the floor. Exhale, both knees over to the right and turn your head to the left. And inhale slowly. Feel your core muscles working. The slower you go, the more you're going to notice your core working here. And then exhale, both knees to the left, head to the right. Maybe you're getting a little bit further this time. Introducing mobility in your lower back. Inhale, knees come back to center. You're keeping your knees glued together, the feet, the thighs. Exhale, both knees to the right and your head to the left, keeping the left shoulder on the mat. So this also opens up the front of the chest. Inhale, back to center. Exhale, both knees. Last time, over to the left, head to the right. Your knees may be going to the floor, they may not. Inhale, slowly coming back to center. Press the small of your back into the floor. Exhale, both knees to the right, head to the left. And inhale, come back to center. And now take both hands onto your shins and just gently rock or make circles on your lower back. Nice massage. And then either roll over onto your side to push yourselves up or place your hands underneath the backs of your knees and rock up to a seated position and come on over onto all fours. So, we want to make sure when our hands are on the mat, so whether you're in downward facing dog or in cat-cow pose or on your hands and knees, that your middle finger is pointing forward. You want to be sure that all the bases of your fingers are pressing into the floor as well as your fingers. So your middle finger points forward, and remember, you can always look at the wrinkles in your wrist. They should be lining up with the front of your mat. If they're not, you're out of alignment. So look at the wrinkles in your wrist lining up with the front of your mat, your middle finger pointing forward to the top of your mat. And your knees are comfortably underneath your hips. And remember, you can double your mat over if you need that extra cushioning. And then bringing your shoulders away from your ears. Now you start to feel your shoulder girdle engaging. Instead of sinking into your shoulders with the arms bent, activate and enliven your shoulder girdle. On an exhale, round your spine, tucking your chin, and pull your bellies in. On an inhale, curl your toes under, hollow out your lower back, lengthen through the front of your chest, let your head float up and perhaps your eyes towards your third eye or even your crown chakra. Exhale, flatten the tops of your feet, rounding your spine, tucking your chin and pull your bellies in. And on an inhale, curl your toes under, hollow out your lower back, lifting, lengthening. Exhale, flatten the tops of your feet as you come into cat, rounding your spine, tucking your chin, pull your bellies in, and then curl your toes under, hollow out your lower back. Speaking of cat, I'm hearing about a bunch of coyotes out there. So if you have a cat, keep your eye on your cat. And maybe a BB gun handy. I don't know if that'll help or not. Okay, and last time, rounding your spine. And curl your toes under, hollow out your lower back. And coming back to neutral. Okay, before we continue here, I want us to come up onto our knees, placing your hands on your waist with your thumbs pointing towards your spine. You can curl your toes under and then release. So I want to open up the front of the body. Place your right hand on your right heel. And then can you place your left hand on your left heel? And if not, just alternate. Left hand to left heel, and then right hand to right heel. If you can place both on, fine. And then with your shoulders back, opening up and stretching the muscles in the chest. I have read it over and over again, and I believe it to be true, that if we remain collapsed in the front of the body, the muscles in the front of the chest will shorten to the point where it will be difficult to lengthen them. So this is a great opener for those of us who know we're rounding our shoulders, we're hunching. Bring your hands back to your waist, and then once again, flatten the tops of your feet and come back into our tabletop position. Extend your right leg straight out behind you and your left arm straight out in front of you. Keep your neck aligned with your spine. Inhale to stretch. Now exhale, we're going to bring elbow and knee together underneath the body. Working the core. Extend on an inhale, the arm and the leg. Exhale, bringing knee towards elbow. Doesn't have to touch. Extend on an inhale. Crunch on the exhale. Extend and crunch and release. Let's extend the other leg straight out behind. Opposite arm straight out in front. Inhale, stretch. Exhale, knee to elbow. Inhale, stretch. Exhale, knee to elbow. Have a look at the hand that's on the floor. Have you still got your middle finger pointing towards the front of your mat? Pressing all fingers in. Exhale, knee to elbow. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, knee to elbow, and releasing. Inhale, sweep the left arm up. Exhale, thread it underneath the right and release your shoulder and the side of your face to the floor. And if you wish, you can tippy-toe the fingers of that right hand straight out in front. So releasing tension and stress from having worked the core, the lower back. And draw the right hand back underneath your shoulder if you stretched it out. And let's take the other hand, sweep it up. Exhale, reach under, releasing your shoulder, perhaps the side of your head, tippy-toeing, if you want, the fingers of the left hand straight out in front. And draw that left hand back. Take your knees the width of your mat if you're able to come into the modified child's pose, taking your hips back towards your heels, and then releasing your torso in between your thighs, and releasing your forehead either onto the mat, folding your arms to create a pillow, or stacking your fists if you need the extra height. If your knees don't like that major bend, then assume puppy pose with your knees underneath your hips and your forehead on the floor and arms slightly bent in front. Remember, breathing takes place mostly in the back of your body. So breathing into your side and back ribs. And of course, exhaling fully and completely. And inhale, come on up. And come on onto your bellies. We're going to be Superman and Superwomen, which we are. I think we have to be super these days to handle everything going on. Okay, so reach your arms straight out in front. Obviously, this is going to strengthen the muscles in the back of the body. Release your forehead onto the mat. Your legs are straight out behind you. Your arms are straight out in front of you. The tops of your feet are flat. You're going to press your hips and pelvis into the floor. You're going to roll an invisible alley with your nose to look straight down on your mat. And on an inhale, arms and legs coming up. Very demanding, but strengthening for the shoulders, the upper back. This is where we get weak if we're hunching. And of course, your lower back. One more breath in. Exhale, bring your arms beside your body. Turn your head to the right. Let your shoulders melt, big toes touch, and heels are splaying out. And then bring your head back to the center, forehead on the floor. Reach your fingertips towards your feet. We'll practice Salabhasana next, locust pose, a little bit easier than what we just did. Roll the invisible alley with your nose. We're just going to do the upper body. You can keep your legs on the mat. On an inhale, lift your head, neck, shoulders, chest, and arms coming up. And of course, if your body says not to hold as long as I'm asking, you listen to your body. No pain. If there is, stop. That's your body's telling you something. One more breath in. Exhale. Please lower your upper body. Turn your head to the opposite side. Let your shoulders melt. Big toes touch and heels splay out. And bring your head back to the center. Bring straight arms onto the back of your body. Interlock your fingers and then try to make your arms straight by squeezing your shoulder blades together and moving your shoulders away from your ears. Once again, the tops of your feet are flat on your mat. Your hips and pelvis are gently pressing into the mat. Roll an invisible alley with your nose. And on an inhale, lift up your upper body and your arms, opening up the front of the body. Great anecdote. You can do this sort of thing when you're sitting in a chair. And last breath in, exhale, lower it all back down. And again, turn your head back to the opposite side where it was. Let your shoulders melt, big toes touch and heels splay out. And bring your head back to the center and press yourself up. And then just for fun, and those of you who have little kids around, tell them we're going to do a bear walk. So your bear, start at the back of your mat, but you might even start off the floor, and you're just going to walk forward, okay? And I'm not going to do a lot of this, but it just, that clearly is working your core, okay? So something fun to do. Kids love doing yoga. Tell them anything. It's like, oh, I'm going to be a bear. Okay, so that's it. I mean, that's your bear walk. Okay. That will do. All right, so come on up into a soft dog. Keep your knees soft, let your head hang. Perhaps walk the dog by straightening one leg, bending the other. Please relax your neck and changing. And then either bring your hands towards your feet or your feet towards your hands. Let your upper body just hang out in Uttanasana, standing forward bend. So it's always a good idea to keep your knees slightly relaxed, bent, and rather than thinking about when we're in any kind of forward bend, whether it's standing or sitting, rather than thinking about bringing your head to your knees, thinking about bringing your rib cage to your thighs. And just hang out here. Okay, pressing the soles of your feet into the floor, letting your head hang, letting your arms hang. Let's slowly roll up one vertebra at a time and letting the head be the last thing to come up. And then inhale, shoulders up to your ears. Exhale, roll them back. I hope you're feeling nice and open in the front of your body. Now, because we spread our fingers apart when our hands are on the floor, we also want to do this with our toes if we can, which is why a lot of my pointy shoes don't feel very good on my feet anymore, because I think my feet have widened since I started practicing yoga. All right, so there's a price for everything. Now, if you lift your toes off the floor and you open your fingers, for some reason that helps us spread our toes. So if you can, do your best to spread them. And then lower your toes back down on the mat. Now, for alignment purposes, some people would say, well, it's somewhere between sticking your butt out and bringing your tailbone under. Basically, we've talked about this, you have a pelvic bowl. You don't want what's in it to spill out. So if we tip too far forward, spill out. back, spills out the back. So try to visualize that your anterior superior iliac spine, so that bone in the front, then where the dimple is in the back of your butt, there's another bone there. Well, there's all kinds of bone there. Imagine that these two are level. Lift your sternum away from your pelvic floor, and then inhale, shoulders up, exhale, roll them back, pull your armpits down. Now again, when you pull your armpits down, maybe you feel a bit of stretch through the front of your chest, because this is probably not how we're normally sitting or standing in the day. The shoulders are a little soft, creeping up towards our ears, or maybe they're rounding forward. So if it feels different, that would be normal. Inhale, sweep the arms up overhead, interlock your fingers, and then turn the palms up, reaching up and stretching up. Keeping your thighs engaged, your toes are just relaxing on the floor. Now turn your hands around, interlock your fingers, but release your pointer finger. Bring the arms right beside the ears. Inhale, stretching up. Exhale. Let's bend sideways to the right. I'll do the mirror image. Keep your length. Don't worry about how far you go sideways. And then inhale, coming up. Exhale, other side. Inhale, stretching up. Exhale, release your hands and forward fold. Fingertips touching the floor, knees are soft. Now inhale, come halfway up and flatten your back. Lengthening your spine. Exhale, forward fold. Please let your heads hang. Bend your knees. Inhale, sweep the arms out to the side, reaching up. Exhale, turn the palms out and float the arms down. Let's do half sun salutations today because we're going to do some other work and I don't want to wear you out. Okay, so half sun salutations, your feet will remain stationary. Outsides of your feet are parallel with the outsides of your mat. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale, bend your knees a lot. Drop your hips a lot. Bring your fingertips tented just outside of and in front of your feet. On an inhale, lift your hips up and let your head hang. So really relax your head. Now, if you need extra height for your hands and you've got a couple of blocks, when you're inhaling up, use your blocks to place your hands underneath your hands. Exhale, bend your knees, drop your hips. Now here's where I want you to press your shoulders back, lengthen your spine from tailbone right through the crown. Inhale, sweep the arms out to the side, reaching up. Exhale, turn the palms out and bring your arms down by your side. Inhale, sweeping up. Exhale, floating down into your tuck position. Fingertips tented. Inhale. Remember, you're keeping your rib cage on your thighs, not about your head going to your knees as you straighten your legs. Shine your tailbone up. Exhale. Bend your knees and drop your hips. Shoulders back, lengthen spine. Inhale, sweep the arms out to the side, circling up and overhead. Turn the palms out and float your arms down, taking up lots of space. Inhale. Palms out, exhale. Fingers tented. Inhale, lift your hips. Let your heads hang. Exhale, bend your knees. Shoulders away from your ears. Lengthen your spine. Inhale, pressing up. Exhale, turn the palms out. Float the arms down. One more time. Inhale. Turn the palms out. Exhale. And then inhale, lift your hips, let your head hang. Exhale, bend your knees, drop your hips, shoulders back, long spine. Inhale, sweeping up. Turn the palms out. Exhale, float the arms down. And let's come back into Tadasana, mountain pose. Lifting your toes off the floor. Feel your big toe mount, your baby toe mount, the center front of your heel. Lifting up in your sternum. Just also, you can think about it. It's quite a distance, but I saw the cue. Imagine putting your shoulder blades in your back pocket. Another little tip. You want to pretend you're a banker? You got the suspenders? Put your thumbs underneath your armpits. Bring your shoulders, your elbows down. Okay? Thumbs are under your armpits, shoulders down. So this is just another way of reminding yourself. And of course, interlocking your fingers behind your back. So spread your feet about 2.5 feet apart, turn your toes out, bend your knees. Lift your gaze and your hearts, exhale, forward fold, leading with your heart center, bringing your arms up and over, let your head hang, release your arms, inhale, keep the knees bent, come on up into goddess pose, knees stay bent, arms in your cactus position, inhale, up, exhale, float the arms down, taking up lots of space. Okay, give your legs a little shake out. If you need a sip of water, now might be a good time. There is nothing like planks to strengthen your core. So, option, you can do it on your forearms. If you have wrist issues, you do it on your forearms, or, you can pick whichever one you want. So here we're on forearm, and you can interlock your fingers. So if you want to do your plank on your forearm, you've got to engage your core here. Or you can hold this full position of plank. Middle finger pointing forward. Remember, middle finger points forward. Have a look that you're getting your alignment right. It really matters when you're holding your body weight. If holding the plank on your hands is bothersome to your wrists, you can also release your knees, cross your feet at the ankles, and then you can play with transferring some of the weight forward. Engage your core. Breathe, reaching through the crown of your head. If you feel weak in this position, practice it. Do it a couple of times a week. You will start to notice how much stronger you get. And then release your knees to the floor. Step your right foot forward. Curl the toes under of your back foot. So we're going to twist the spine here now to release some of the tensions. We're going to do a little more core work. Bring your left elbow outside of your right knee. Open your palm. Try to make a mirror image with that top arm. Now, if balance isn't something that feels like it's going to be good for you today, you can just twist in this position. That'll release. If you are going to lift your back knee off the floor, look at the floor first. Wait for your own inner cue. And then press through the heel of that back foot. Nice. Keeping your top elbow lifted. Try to straighten your back leg. Press through the heel. And bring your hands to the floor. And let's take that leg back and just walk the dog. One leg bent, one straight. Relax your neck. And then bring your knees to the floor. And step your left leg forward. And bring your right elbow to the outside of your left knee. Open the palm. Place the other hand on top. Sideways, namaste or prayer pose. And then wait for your own inner cue. If you're going to lift your back knee off the floor, focus your gaze on the floor. twisting. And if you feel steady, you can turn your head also to the same side as your arms. Be sure you're pressing through the heel of your back foot. That is your anchor. Great. And then bring your hands to the floor, step your knee back, and let's take, again, a modified child's pose, or you can do full-on balasana child's pose by keeping your knees together, taking your hips back towards your heels, so knees can be as wide as the mat, with your big toes touching, or knees can be together. And then again, releasing your rib cage onto your thighs, and if you require extra height for the comfort of your head and your neck, you can stack your fists, can fold your forearms. Okay, we're going to now practice Vashisthasana. These are your side planks. These strengthen your core, but particularly your obliques. You have your internal and external obliques. We need these for twisting and turning, but we need them to have a strong core. Because once our core is strong, sitting up straight is really easy. When the core is weak, it's a lot of work to sit up straight. And I do blame a lot of the chairs that we sit in, the cars that we drive in, like, ugh. So, you know, become aware of how you're even sitting in your car. I keep a lumbar cushion in my car. When I was flying overseas, I always had a lumbar cushion. I mean, I had myself set up like you wouldn't believe it. Extra blankets, extra everything. So, in Vashisthasana, we have some choices here. Once again, we can be full on our arms. Now, you've got different feet position. There's your kickstand. There's your separate. And then there's your aligning. And that takes incredible balance. Now, that's not going to be good for everybody. So you can come onto your forearm once again. If you have the kickstand, you take some of the pressure off of the shoulder and the elbow. Only stay in as long as you feel is good for you today. So either coming onto your forearm, lifting your top arm up. Please do not stay in this any longer. Now be sure you're pressing your fingers into the floor. Okay? When we engage our fingers, it engages more of our wrist muscles. And come on down. So I bet you felt that in your, did everybody feel that in their obliques? You know where they are now, right? You said, I don't know if I have obliques. Yeah, now you know you do. They haven't been getting any love. Okay, so let's see what we can do on the other side. Remember, middle finger points forward. Spread your fingers apart. Reach your top arm up. Great, that will do. Come on onto your backs. Draw your knees up into your chest. And make some circles, or do some rocking from side to side. Now, although getting your legs up in the air doesn't always work the core, it does in shoulder stand, but I know that many of us don't care to do shoulder stand for any number of reasons, which is fine. But one of the most therapeutic things you can do at home is to elevate your hips. So in this case, we're using a block. If you're at home, you're going to use a firm cushion if you don't have a block. And you're just going to get your legs up into the air and allow the fluids to drain back into the pelvic area, and it just assists and makes it easier for the fluids to be cleansed by the kidneys, and of course back to the heart to be oxygenated. So by placing a block underneath your sacrum. Now, those of you who would like to do shoulder stand, you're going to remove your block, keep your knees bent, and have your arms to the side, and then lift your hips up, and just bend your knees and let your knees release towards your forehead. And then bringing your hands a little bit higher up your back, straighten your legs. So this takes core muscle work. Headstand, of course, requires even more. But the posture of Sarvangasana, shoulder stand, has tremendous benefits, not just for the core, but for reversing the blood flow, so that 75% of it now goes above the heart, stimulating, revitalizing endocrine glands, which we've been talking about, starting in the chest, the thymus, moving towards the throat, the thyroid, the parathyroid. Then into the brain area, we have the pituitary, the pineal, the hypothalamus. These are all the glands responsible for making hormones. Hormones are driving all of the activities in your body. And then if you are in shoulder stand, simply lower the legs down over behind your head. Bring your hands to the floor and slowly, with control or releasing the block, bring the body all the way back down onto your mats. With your legs straight out in front, tuck your shoulder blades underneath your heart center. Bend your knees, placing the soles of your feet where your knees were. Bring your arms down beside the side of your body with your palms facing down. Press the small of your back into the floor and peel your spine off the mat. Lifting up, tucking the chin in towards the center of the chest. One more breath in, and then starting from the top of your spine, bring your torso back down onto the mat. And draw your right knee up, and then draw your left knee up, and do a little rocking from side to side. And now interlock your fingers behind the back of your neck. Extend your right leg straight out in front. Inhale in place, exhale, bring your right elbow towards your left knee, and change, straightening one leg, bending the other, bringing opposite elbow to opposite knee, and change. So we're doing a bit of bicycle, but we're doing it really slow to work the core. Changing on the exhale, inhale to lengthen, exhale, elbow to knee. Inhale to straighten out, exhale, elbow to knee. And one more time on either side. And last time. And then release and bring your knees in towards your body. And again, a little bit of rocking from side to side, or perhaps making circles. And again, rolling over onto your side or placing your hands underneath the backs of your knees. Rock up to a seated position. Take your legs straight out in front. Pull the flesh away from underneath your sits bones. Sitting up nice and tall, flex through your feet. So again, think about rib cage to thighs, not your head to your knee. Inhale, sweeping up. Lift up out of your hips, so sit nice and forward. Let's lower the hands down beside the body. Make sure you pulled the flesh out from underneath your sits bones. And then use your hands to further press yourself forward. Even when you're sitting in a chair, if you don't feel your sits bones pointing right down, chances are you're rounding your lower back. That's just because right now my sit bones are not pointing down, they're pointing forward. You want to be really sitting on your sits bones, okay? So inhale, sweep the arms up, flex the feet, lift up out of your waist, and then exhale. Imagine putting your ribs on your thighs. Whether you can or can't, doesn't matter. Just visualize that. Lengthen through your neck, reach through your arms, keep your feet flexed, pressing the backs of your legs into the floor. Inhale, reach forward, and then exhale. Just lower your hands wherever they wind up. One more breath in. Now, lengthen from tailbone right through the crown of your head. Think about lengthening your spine from tailbone to spine. So it doesn't matter how far you're going down, pressing the backs of your legs into the floor. You're holding on to the furthest part of your legs. Inhale, lift and lengthen the heart. Exhale, perhaps you can fold forward another millimeter, quarter of an inch, half inch, doesn't matter. And one more breath in, visualize lengthening your spine. Exhale, walk your hands back up your legs and place your heels of your hands next to your hips, sitting up tall. Now, if you get a chance when you're around babies, they have really good posture. They have no problem sitting up, and their muscles aren't that developed, so what happened? They don't have bills to pay. They don't have cars that break down. Okay. All right, fold your legs over to the side. And let's do a couple of standing poses. Curl your toes under. Walk your hands back towards your feet. Let your head hang and slowly roll up. One vertebra at a time, letting your head be the last thing to come up. So all of your standing poses definitely strengthen your core. Now you may want to have a block in front. So we are going to transition from warrior 2, to triangle to crescent moon. That's the plan. Okay, so coming up towards the front of your mat, step your right foot back about one of your leg lengths. Heel of front foot, create straight line through arch of back foot, lift up your heel and shift it backwards. Make sure your front foot is 90 degrees forward. Bend your front knee back to alignment. Either your calf is lining up with your heel or your knee is right over your ankle. Don't let it collapse in. Feel your inner thigh adductor muscle so you know you're pushing that knee out. Press into the outside of your back foot and inhale, sweep arms up to shoulder height, and then lower your shoulders, lengthen through your neck, reaching up through the crown. Fix your gaze over your front left fingertips. Just check in with your inner thighs, your adductor muscles. These guys should both be firing If they're not, you're collapsing. You've lost your alignment. Alignment means we get more benefits from our postures. It also lowers the risk of injury when we're in proper alignment. Okay, straighten your front leg, reach forward. You're not reaching down. You may go down, but you're reaching forward. And then let your front hand just slide inside of your front leg. Reach your top arm up. Trikonasana, triangle pose. Your front leg is straight. Straighten your front leg. If it's bent, don't need to hyperextend, but it should be straight. Now lower your top arm onto your back hip. Now you can bend your front leg. And then we're going to transfer our weight onto our front leg. This is where you may want to use your blocks, or tent your fingers on the floor about a foot away from that front foot. Lift your back leg up, and then reach your top arm up. If you feel really balanced, you may be lifting your bottom fingers off the floor, but don't go for that unless you really feel balanced. And then bend your front knee, step your back foot down onto your mat, come back into Trikonasana, triangle pose, opening up the front of your body to the side of your mat. Inhale, come on up. And now pivot on your feet so that you're standing sideways on your mat. Bring your hands to your hips. Fold from the tops of your legs. Halfway, tent your fingers on the floor in front of you, underneath your face. Inhale, sweep the right arm up, reaching up, stretching up, maybe looking up. Feel the stretch in your inner thigh. Exhale, float that arm down. Inhale, sweep the other arm up, reaching up and stretching up. Exhale, float it down. Now pivot on your feet so that your right foot is pointing 90 degrees forward. Have a look that the heel of your front foot is creating a straight line through the arch of your back foot. And then windmill your left arm up and come into warrior two. So let's make sure our shoulders stay over our hips. We're not leaning forward with our torso. We've got a plumb line through the center of our head, coming right down through the center of our bodies. Have a look at your back arm, that it is the same height as your front. And then activate your inner thigh adductor muscles by pressing your front knee towards the outside of your mat and press into the outer edge of your back foot. Fingers are active. Inhale, straighten your front leg. So we're coming into Trikonasana, straighten your front leg. Now reach forward towards the top of your mat or the bottom of your mat, and then hinge. Just be organic about this. Don't try to reach down. Just let that front arm float to inside your leg and reach your top arm up. Stretching up, reaching up. Energy is up, up, up. Then lower your back arm onto your back hip. Look forward, bend your front leg, begin to bring your back foot forward to transfer your weight onto your front leg, bringing your fingertips either to your mat or on top of your block for extra height. Lift your back leg up so that it is in line with your hip, and then open your top arm straight up. Focus your gaze. If you wish, you can lift your bottom fingers off the floor if you want to really test your balance today. And then bend your front knee, step that leg back, turn sideways once again on your mats. And again, you're tenting your fingers underneath your face. Your spine, your back is tabletop, it's flat. Let's inhale, sweep the right arm up, reaching, stretching, twisting the spine. Exhale, float it down. Inhale, sweep the other arm up, reaching, stretching, maybe looking up. Exhale, float it down. Let's lunge over to the left, bringing bum close to heel. As much as you can, lunging. If your legs aren't wide enough apart, it's tricky. And then inhale, up and over to the other side. Bringing your bum close to your heel. One more time, up and over. Nice stretch here for the inner thigh and the spine. Lunging to the left. And then up and over to the right. And back into the center. Walk your feet in towards one another. Take a sip of water. Bring yourself down onto your mat for a well-deserved Shavasana. Now, if you want an iPad cover and you didn't get one yet, please grab one. Now, just a suggestion, you have 2 blocks. If you do have 2 blocks, you can check it out, see if it works. You're going to take your blocks and you're going to put one under one thigh and the other one under the other thigh. And this just changes up and I think has a nice relaxing effect on the lower back. So the blocks are right up against your butt and they're horizontal to your body. Yeah, right up against your butt. So they're not under your butt, they're under the tops of your legs, but right up against your butt. Right. So they're not under your butt, they're, yeah, everybody looks good here. Okay. So whatever you need to move to let go and relax, whether it's rolling your head from side to side, please turn your palms up in the open and receiving position. Let your eyes close if they're not already. And let your eyeballs sink into their sockets. Separate the biting surfaces of the teeth. Relax the jaw. One of the benefits of yoga is that you can create a tailor-made practice, one that addresses the nervous system if you're feeling stressed out or just in complete overwhelm. We can use our yoga practice to calm our nervous system. We can also, of course, do the opposite. We can energize and revitalize our operating systems, all of them, and everything in between. When it comes to posture, the better our posture, the slimmer we appear. It's definitely more youthful looking. It assists in keeping our lungs open, spacious. So it assists in our breathing. And of course, it can alleviate or prevent neck and back pain. All we need to do is practice awareness, mindfulness, create the habits, and bring more vitality, comfort, and peace into our physical bodies, our minds, and spirits. Bringing awareness to your breathing. Noticing the gentle movements of your body as you receive the prana in the oxygen, and as you exhale waste and carbon dioxide. As I entered the church today, there was a cardinal singing so loudly right across the street. I don't know how big their lungs are. Can't be too big, but they sure put out a powerful sound. So I have to assume that their lungs and their posture are perfect for the life that they lead, for as long as they lead it. We can take a lot of cues from nature. Inhale the life force long, full, and deep. And deep, exhaling, let it all go. One more deep breath in, belly rising, exhale, letting it all go. Inhale, stretch your arms over behind your heads, reach and stretch, point feet far, flex and point, and drop your arms down by your side. Take a moment to roll over onto your side, keeping your knees bent, using your bottom arm as a pillow. And add that little Buddha smile if you don't already have one. Feel good about your efforts that you've made today to practice yoga. And when you're ready, use your top arm to press yourself back up into a seated position. And let's close our practice today by chanting the seed mantra of all mantras, Om. Inhaling together. Om. Notice how the energy of Om just brings all of our energy up into those higher chakras. Have a beautiful day. Namaste.